Alright guys, I wanted to introduce you to the Book Design Project unit and give you an idea of what we're going to be working on over the next couple of weeks. When you log into the Moodle page, the first thing you should note is the due date for this entire unit. We're going to be working on everything until February the 19th. This means all of the project and the exercises will all be due at this time. But I'm going to pace the creation of this book out over the next couple of weeks. So it's very important that you keep up with exactly what we're working on and what I'm looking for by their due date. So for this project, I'm going to give you a book that's in the public domain. This simply means that it's out of copyright and anybody is free to use the text, the story, the characters, whatever you want to create your own design and publication and your own creation. The reason I like to do this is because we're also going to send your book to a printer so that you can have a physical copy actually created to put into your portfolio. So it's very important that you finish this book on time so that your book can be printed. Otherwise, I won't be able to send it to the printer and you won't have that physical copy ready to go. The first thing you need to do is to have a look at the Book Design Project PDF. When you download this, you may print it off on the classroom printer. I'm sorry I don't have physical copies available, but let's look through this to get an idea of what we're going to be doing. Like I said, you're going to be designing an entire book that's in the public domain. Now this includes creating the cover for your design as well as the inside pages. I'm actually going to give you the entire book text. You must lay out all the chapters and all the images, chapter titles, everything that goes inside of it, as well as designing a cover to this. The first thing that you're going to do is we're going to focus on getting an idea of what your book is about. So you're going to start by researching what images are appropriate, how you can lay out your text, and also how other books and chapter books have been laid out. That's what we're going to do this first week. While you're doing this, you're going to be collecting images and appropriate things to be used for your cover. Now the cover of your book, you're going to be designing the front, the back, the spine of your book, and also two inside flaps of your book. You can get an idea of what I mean by the image that I'm giving you on your PDF. Notice that the cover of a book has the front of the book. It'll also have the back pages of the book. But if you were to take this cover off of a hardcover, you'll know that it has the spine of a book. And the two flaps are simply the two extra bits of text that are wrapped around the front and inside of your cover. All of this is going to be part of your cover's design, and I'm going to give you the information that should go on it. You will be responsible for designing and creating your own images to go on top of this. We'll talk more about this a little bit later. The second thing that we're going to work on are the inside pages. Your book needs to have a table of contents. It'll have chapter headings that need to have their own design. Body copy needs to have its own design, and also headers and footers. And this is what goes where your page numbers go and the information either at the top or the bottom of the page. Now, every book's going to be slightly different. Some books may have some additional things that have to be added to your book, and we'll talk about that and look at those on a per case basis. The final thing that you're going to turn in are sketches for your cover's design concept. Now we're going to do the cover last, simply because it takes a little bit more time to come up with your ideas and to do your research. So while you're laying out the inside pages, I want you to be thinking about the design for your book and how you want the cover to look, and doing research, finding images, finding ideas, and sketching out those ideas to be able to show me. Here's what you're going to be graded on. First, you need to be able to submit 5 ideas for the design of your book's cover. Also, you're going to do some preliminary designs for the inside of your book as well. You need to showcase the research you've done, both for the story and who the story is for. A lot of these stories are targeted towards female audiences, some are towards male audiences, Some of them are for the open, anybody can read this. And so you need to get an idea of what the story is about and who it's targeted to. And also, by the first critique, by next week, you need to show me your initial progress on your page's design. Specifically, we're going to talk about how to design your chapter titles and your headers and footers. Here's what you're going to turn in to me by February the 19th. You are going to turn in a full printed cover design. Remember, that's the front, the back, the spine, and the inside flaps. All need to be finished up. Make sure that your work meets any additional needs for the project. This means if you have images that go inside of your book, those images are there and they're in the right spot. Make sure that if it has a table of contents, the table of contents is correct, and in addition to the page numbers or anything else that may come up. The book pages and cover, they do need to be high quality, good finished, professional. It needs to be the kind of thing that you would find in a library that you would want to read. And then finally, you're going to upload a high quality or print quality PDF of both the inside pages and your cover. Again, you have to be able to finish this in order to get it printed on time. So going back to the Moodle page, to find what book you're going to be working on, look under the book information folder. I've listed out everybody in the class and what book that you are responsible for laying out. You're only responsible for this book, and at this time you won't be able to change it up. You can find at the bottom a zip file of all the different books, and you can download the book that you need to work on. So for instance, if you have Jane Eyre as your book, go down here, find the Jane Eyre zip file, and download that file to your computer and open it up. I've done an example of downloading the Jane Eyre zip file. Once you uncompress it, there should be a folder inside of it, and there's 3 things that I'm giving to you. The first thing is the cover information for your book. Everybody's is going to be different depending on the book that you get. But inside of the cover information, this is what needs to be on your cover of your book. I'm giving you a brief synopsis or a breakdown of what the book is about. I'm giving you some information about the author, and I'm giving what I call a blurb. And this is simply what somebody would be saying about the book, usually a critique of the book or someone who's done some research about the book. And so this ties in with both what the synopsis is about and also what the author has done or what the significance of the book may be. The main thing is, this is information for your cover. And so this has to appear usually on the back of your cover or on the 2 flaps of your cover. We'll talk more about this as well. This is also a good starting point for the research of your book if you've never read the book before. The second thing I'm giving to you is a text file. And this is a plain text file that gives the entire book that you're going to lay out. It'll start off with the book information, goes through the table of contents. Notice that there's no page numbers on the table of contents. That's because all of the chapters are in one individual section. And as you scroll down, you can see all of the different parts of the book. Now, when we place this into InDesign, that's what we're going to use to lay out our book, we're going to have to do some formatting for this, and we'll talk about this next week. The final thing that I'm going to give to you is your in-text images. These are all of the different pictures that you can add to your book that are also in the public domain and out of copyright. One thing to note, the title or the name of these images will be indicated inside of your text to tell you where to place them. So don't worry about where they should be for now. Inside of your text file, there will be a place, and I'll show you where to place these images once the time comes. Just know for now, once you've downloaded this, you can start to get an idea of what your book is about. But the next thing you need to do is to research your book. To do research on your book, let's say you've never read Jane Eyre before or whatever book you've downloaded. Start off simply by doing a Google search for it. When you do a Google search, you should be able to find lots of information about these books because these books are the kind of things that a lot of people have read, and they're in the public domain, and they're from very famous authors, specifically English-speaking authors. Make sure you're looking at good websites. SparkNotes.com is a great website to go to because it gives a good summary of the entire book. You don't have to read the book, but you do need to be familiar with who the characters are and what the important events could be. Another great website is simply Wikipedia.com. From here, you get an idea of what the book is about, who the author is about, and why it's mostly important, and some of the main details towards the entire plot. A final thing you'll want to research is some cover design for your book. You can start by doing this through Amazon.com, finding how other authors have laid out the covers to their book, and getting some historical ideas of how these are laid out as well. Your design needs to be original, however. Please don't copy an existing design, but you can find good ideas of how other people have done their designs as well. You'll find that especially on these open sourced books, that there's a lot of different ways of approaching it, and a lot of people have done their own particular designs of these as well. One thing to pay attention to, a lot of these books have been turned into movies or miniseries on TV. So you may want to stay away from some of the imagery that's associated with television and try to do something that's a little bit more classical and book-like. But there's a lot of different ways that you can do a book, doing them both illustrated or more visual, pictorial, or even as an illustration. Okay, with that, we'll return to our Moodle page. That should be the first thing that you're going to do for today, is to start your book's research. Get an understanding of what book you're going to work on, download that information, and then the next thing we're going to do is to jump into the first exercise that talks about the book's research. Once you've finished with this video, go ahead and click on the video that can be found under Book Research on the Moodle page.